out of here, you bastard!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Robert's Game Corner. Today we're looking at APOTHEON, which is brought to us by Alien Trap. I first noticed this game when I was browsing for deals during the last Steam sale, and I saw that it looked like pottery, and I thought, man, that's pretty cool. So here we are. You play as the statuesque hero Nicandrios, who goes into battle in shorts and sandals, which lets you know that he's serious, but also that he's there to have a good time. The story is pretty straightforward. All of the gods and spirits have forsaken the world because Zeus told them to, and also they didn't really like us anyway, so they all barricade themselves on Mount Olympus to wait out the death of humanity, which is a dick move if you think about it. And it's up to you to save humanity by going to Mount Olympus and killing all of the gods until they stop forsaking the world, which is the thing that sensible people do. The very first thing I noticed about the game was, of course, the art. It all makes it look very Greek, which is, of course, important to the setting because it's Greek. And it makes a pretty immersive gaming experience, really. It's a nice way to differentiate all the zones and objects and enemies, and really helps to keep everything framed on the screen. Very pleasing to the eyes. Another thing is that the setting is very much ancient mythological Greece, which I really like. Most of the gods are all massive conceited jerks that are all just sitting around, and what happens on Earth is so far beneath them that for them this is all just like Tuesday. They just do a bunch of weird stuff like have sex with trees and turn people into animals, which is all things that they do in mythology. And I like it when a game about mythology sticks to mythology and doesn't decide to change everything and then call it some kind of mythology. They just put like mythology labels on everything like decals. The gameplay's pretty alright, it has its issues. All of your attacks feel like they're unconnected to the way your character moves. And the hit location on the weapon is very specific, generally towards the end of the weapon. So it feels like jousting with backhoes when you're trying to like wrangle an enemy into the right position in order to stab him with your sword or hit him with your warhammer. Lots of fights just descend into you standing on top of the enemy and occupying the same space, and then you're both moving in the same direction. And it's like a big combat waltz as you try to dodge roll your way around them and attack them all Dark Souls style, but in 2D. But somehow with less control over everything. It would probably be better if the blocking wasn't so awkward. I'm not a fan of the way the blocking works. It only creates like a small shielded area, which doesn't cover your entire hitbox, and makes you have to actively aim your shield at all the threats that are incoming at once, which can generally be a lot of them. On top of that, if an enemy starts their attack already behind your shield because their character model is overlapping, then you can't block the attack, which is like, okay. I mean, you can dodge out of it, but it's a little wonky. There's a huge variety of weapons, all different kinds, and they're all used for different things, which I like. A lot of the enemies require different weapons to kill because of the way they move and the way they attack and the different kinds of abilities they have. Although I do have to dock the game points because it uses weapon degradation, and that never improves game at all. It also makes having the specific weapon you want for the area even more valuable because it will eventually break, and then that'll be problematic. Even though you can just shank everything with a knife, I find myself turning to that a lot. Once all my weapons like break, or if I'm having a hard time timing the attack animation, then I'll just use the knife, which attacks really fast and in a straight line. Let's see some nitpicky things. Whenever you run up an incline, your character slows down, which really kills the movement, especially since the longer you run, the faster your character runs, which makes covering the large distance of the level very helpful, until of course you hit a ramp and then you immediately slow to a crawl, which just breaks the flow. There's also fall damage. I find that to be really obnoxious. Not inherently, but with the game's like large, sprawling vertical design in its levels, it would be really helpful if I could just jump off a roof and not have to worry about losing half my health. The game's pretty explorative. There's a lot of rooms with a lot of keys. The keys are all generally found in the same level, but you are rewarded for exploring. When you find a new item or whatever, it's added to the stock of the merchant that you buy it from, so you can go back and stock up on it later. You want to break all the pots to get all the gold and crafting materials, because there's crafting materials. Get yourself some health potions. I often find myself only just making health potions and armor repair kits. I don't really worry about anything else. That's just me, though. I find it really hard to shift between the items. If I'm in the middle of fighting enemies, I don't want to have to shift all the way to my strength potion and then drink and then shift all the way back to my weapon, because by that time I've been shot by 142 arrows. Your character doesn't really level up, they just kind of find new weapons and more armor. You can improve how much damage you do with a certain kind of weapon by training with the weapons trainer. Every time you beat a god, you get some new ability. Otherwise, I prefer that kind of progression. You can't grind your way into a victory, you've got to actually earn it. Well, I say that, you can't directly grind your way into a victory. You could grind up all the gold to buy all the trainings. I guess. Anyway, you get what I mean.
Halt. You have
You can find a bunch of really cool items though, like burning swords and stuff, so you want to explore all the rooms. Generally, all the good ones are locked though, especially in the hub area, and you pick locks at an incredibly slow pace. You're basically guaranteed to get seen by a guard. Then the guards try to find you money, and then you're obliged to pull out your weapon and kill them because you're there to kill them anyway, but then that just spawns more guards and it gets out of hand, and I don't know. They're everywhere too, like there's no getting around it. Each of the specific areas that the gods are in all feel very unique. Like the Temple of Apollo, you have to let out all his horses and you got to escape his prison. And then when you're in Artemis's area, you've got to like hunt around a forest for a bunch of animals. So you got to do things that are very specific to the gods that live there. And also fighting each god is very different. They all want you to do different things to defeat them. Some of them want to play a game with you, some of them fight you in hand to hand. It just all depends on what they're good at. And you really have to beat them at their own game, which I like. At first I was worried about whether or not the game was any good, and I was worried that the art style was going to sucker me into like a bad gaming experience, but that didn't turn out to be the case, and so I'm pretty pleased with APOTHEON. It's an okay gaming experience with a very above average art design, and I can recommend it to anybody that's interested in it. If you like Greek mythology and you like side-scrolling combat games, then you should check out APOTHEON because it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll see you next time, everybody. Next time on Robert's Game Corner. We'll play something else that also looked cool that I bought on the Steam sale. I have a lot of games. Bye, everybody. See you next time. So